All right, the Tesla live stream just ended with the product launch and showing off the Cybercab. And I just wanted to sit down and just give a couple quick thoughts, just first impressions, nothing fancy. I'm going to have Elon talk in the background, but there's a couple things I wanted to mention, a couple things I wanted to talk about. Number one, the first thing that he mentioned was safety, the safety of autonomous vehicles. And it is true, autonomous vehicles are way safer than human driven vehicles. About 40,000 people a year on average die in car accidents in America. And autonomous vehicles have a way better safety record, even though there's so few on the road. Uh, he mentioned, they can see all the way around themselves. They have sensors everywhere. They can auto brake, all this other stuff, and that's true. That's great, and that saves a lot of lives. But it doesn't stop physics. If another vehicle is traveling at you at a high rate of speed and makes a sudden movement towards you, there's only so much correction that an autonomous vehicle can do. Uh, there are going to be times, there are going to be incidents where an autonomous vehicle tries to avoid an accident and still gets hit. And even though that autonomous vehicle is not at fault, there's a lot of people in the world who hate this advancement in technology, and they are going to use those events and those stats to rail against the autonomous driving. I don't think, statistically it won't be correct, but I think we're at a point in America where what is correct is not often what some people go with. They go with their emotions instead. So, that's something that's going to be a part of it that we're going to have to accept if we accept this technology on a national scale, on a large scale. Those arguments are going to have to be overcome. Uh, the other point that he made, what was my next one? I took some notes. Let's see. So a fleet. So you'll be able to buy a fleet of these vehicles and put them out on the road. Entrepreneurs be able to buy, 30 or 40 of them, put them out on the road. It's good passive income. It's kind of passive. It's not exactly passive because you still have to maintain the vehicles, but they're going to put them out on the road. They want this to be on a national scale, obviously. And I'm just thinking back to when Uber first came out. When Uber was first introduced, the unions in large cities that control the taxi drivers, they had a fit because it was taking money out of their pockets. So can you imagine the fit they will have when autonomous vehicles, something that doesn't even have a driver? So then they have an argument in that it doesn't have a driver, and that it's taking money out of their pockets. I think it's going to be a huge, huge legal battle to get these things certified in some major cities where these unions are big. They have a lot of influence. They have a lot of political influence. So that's going to be a fight. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm not saying, it's never going to be. I'm just, thinking ahead of the legal battles and the legality involved to get these things introduced in some cities. The Robovan, I think is how he pronounced it, Robovan, that he introduced. Yeah, I thought the Cybertruck was ugly, but good God. I get what he's saying. He wants the future should look like the future, and it should to some extent. But uh, I'm interested to see if that design ever actually makes it to production. Uh, it it's good for show, and it's good to display and get a wow factor out of. But I'm interested to see if that ever makes production. And the last point I have, real quick, is the robot, the Optimus robot. He was very adamant that this will be the greatest technology ever, and everyone will have one. And his price point that he quoted was $20,000 to $30,000. I don't know of anyone, even upper middle class to lower end high class who has a convenience item that costs $20,000. Um, that's, he mentioned it can pour drinks and it can teach your kids and it can go get the mail and things like that. But how many he was making it out like everybody in America is going to have one of these. This is going to be the greatest thing. But are you really in a position, no matter what station you are in life, are you in a position where you're going to spend $30,000 just to have a robot pour you drinks and go get the mail? I don't know how feasible that is. I'm very skeptical about that. Now, even in a manufacturing standpoint, you say, well, he may be overzealous when he says, average people will have it, but this will be great for manufacturing. In a manufacturing, my background is electrical engineering, process automation. I've worked on robotics in manufacturing facilities. And the thing about a manufacturing robot is it is built for one task and it is incredibly proficient at that task. It is efficient in its movements. If it's welding a car body to a frame, that body and frame come down the assembly line, it welds it and it moves on. There's no frill, there's no extra. It does one thing and it does it very well. This human shaped robot, when you have something like that, a device or a robot, anything that's supposed to complete a task autonomously, when you make it able to do a wide spectrum of tasks, its proficiency in each one of those tasks degrades. It's less proficient because you have such a wide scale. It can't be very good at one thing because it has to be good at so many things. So, from a manufacturing standpoint, I'm not sure that robot is I know that they're using them or I've read that they're using them in some Tesla factories, but I wonder if that's just so that they can say they were being used. If they're not I don't know that they're the most efficient, cost-effective option for what they're using them for. Again, I don't know what they're using them for, so I could be talking out of my butt, but still, this is the way I think about it. I don't, Amazon has little robotic, autonomous little vehicles that will go around its facility, pull packages, pull products off the shelf, package them and all that good stuff, and they're good at that. But how good is a robot going to be at? I can't think of a task that it would be like so good at from a manufacturing standpoint to where it would be cost effective. I'm very skeptical about the Optimus robot and how it's going to be. I think if they're produced for the public and sold, I think a lot of very rich people may buy them so that they can have them serve drinks at a dinner party. Personally, I don't think, as he said, everybody's going to have one and it's going to be the greatest technology ever. I don't see that happening. Even when they had the demonstration with at the event there, and it was trying to hand individuals bags of treats, it was very slow and methodical about how it did it. It wasn't very fluid, and I understand the technology's new and it'll improve, but still, I wonder how. I'm very skeptical about the Optimus robot and how it will perform. But all in all, I thought it was a good presentation. I am not the I'm not the biggest Tesla follower. I follow Tesla, but I don't have as much knowledge as some people who can just rattle off facts and everything else. So I'm interested to see what everybody's takeaway is from it. But those were just my fast thoughts that I thought of right after it happened. So we're live streaming Sunday morning for the Flight Test 5 Starship launch. Hoping to see a booster catch. Hoping to see it fly. SpaceX is going ahead like this thing is sold. It's going to fly. They've already destacked it, put the FTS system in it, put charges in it, tested the tanks, all that fun stuff. So they're full speed ahead. The FAA still hasn't issued a license. They may issue one tomorrow. They work on the weekend, so they may issue one Saturday, but it's it's a little weird. Of course, you can't get any information out of the FAA anyway, so it's a little troubling for me that they still haven't made a statement or released anything or anything like that. So we'll see. But should it launch on Sunday, we'll live stream that Sunday morning, and I'm going to start about five Central Time, so about 2 hours before launch, and we'll watch history be made. But thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Would love for you to subscribe. That's it. Deuces.